guys. There's been a lot of internal and public discussion regarding the state of Arena today. Okay, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but let's just go over it. So essentially they're saying they want to change Arena, but they want to keep the essence of the Arena. They don't want to change it too much that it starts to feel like ranked or whatever. I don't feel good about myself. Why should you? Yeah, that's usually the kind of frame they're coming from. So for those of you who are like really completely unaware about what's happening, they are going to be removing a number of cards from the Arena offering pool. So the Mage cards will be Forgotten Torch, Snow Sugar, and Faceless Summoner. There are going to be a lot of cards that we would have liked them to remove, right? I know that we all know our own we all have our own personal list of God, I wish X card wasn't in the game. But like I said, I think a lot of people are giving Blizzard a lot of flack for what they're doing. And I think we shouldn't. I think we should be happy that they are starting somewhere. And then from a start, you can fine tune it and get better and better at it. But, you know, now I'm going to give you guys my personal opinion on how, you know, maybe we should do things or things that could be cool. I'll keep the text lower. All right. Sorry, my bad. My bad. Let me get my, I'll just throw it somewhere else. Okay, so for Mage, Forgotten Torch, Snow Sugar, and Faceless Summoner. Forgotten Torch, I kind of don't get it. Like, it's totally fine. It's annoying when they draw the 3-mana Fireball, but I'm much more annoyed by Fireball. I know they're not going to touch the vanilla set, but I can definitely find a lot more annoying things, such as Flame Cannon. I know they can't remove Frostbolt, but I mean, Torch, I feel, is one of the least frustrating spells in the game, right? It's a 3-mana, 3 damage. That's pretty fair. I know that it puts a Fireball in your deck, but that is not the focus point, right? Anyways, Snow Sugar, okay, I see what they're trying to do. They're removing Snow Sugar and Faceless Summoner, so they're trying to remove some of Mage's like really good minions without downsides. I feel like Ethereal Conjurer should have been on the list, and I think the reason why Ethereal Conjurer, isn't on the list is because it can give you spells, and spells is more like, you know, the whole Mage thing, the whole Mage identity. So I think if you're like, I like where they're going with this, right? They're going like, okay, Mage has insane spells. We don't want to give them insane minions at the same time that don't have downside, like Faceless Summoner, right? So pretty happy with the Faceless Summoner removal because that was nuts, absolutely crazy. I think Ethereal Conjurer should, over time, definitely make the list. It's just, I mean, it's so good, right? It's so good. It's like one of the most frustrating cards. Shady, they said it was between Torch and Flame Cannon, and they chose Torch since Cannon takes more skill to use well. Yes, you do have to ping the 1/1 first and then Flame Cannon, indeed. I mean, sure, I can get it, right? You need to create a board state for it. You need to think a little bit ahead, but I mean, there are plenty of times where you don't need to think too much to get an insane Flame Cannon, right? All right, moving on. I know Mage is going to be the class that we all love to hate and that we all love to take a stab at, but let's continue. Rogue. So from a personal standpoint, from how I like to play Arena, I'm a little bit sad because I think these two minions are very fun to play with, but they're broken. They're really strong, and I think this is a fair nerf. Rogue has been very, very consistent, and this is one of the reasons why their minions are just stupid. Like, they have just such good minions. Like, you look at Skulker, Skulker's insane, Valiant, Barber, Buccaneer, they have such insane minions to snowball their early game as well. So Rogues just outvalue you sometimes without them even trying to outvalue, just because their minions are so good. Yeah, it feels bad, man, for Out of Barber. My favorite card being removed from the Arena. It's a little bad. Feels bad, man. All right, Paladin, no changes. Somewhat fair. I think if they did this 2 expansions ago, I would have flipped some tables and be like, really? No changes necessary. Are you sure? I can show you a list of shit. That's pretty much in a way. But they added some awkward cards for them right now. They added the Dragon Synergy card. They added the Ivory Knight. And then last expansion wasn't that great. So overall, I can kind of understand it. I still would have very much liked to see no Coghammer in Arena or something like that, but I can see where they're going with their Paladin design thing, where to make Paladin balanced, you still give them some of the great cards, the Muster, the Minibot, the Coghammer, but you don't get them very often, right? So the way our Paladin is balanced in that way is that it doesn't do that well, and when you get the good early game cards, you're a monster. So it's kind of like the way our Shaman works is like you kind of have an okay deck, and then you have 3/7/7 and you shit on everyone, right? So that's kind of how Blizzard designs things. And honestly, it's hard to make a class balanced without using this mechanic. I feel it's a very easy mechanic, right, to boost a class win rate. Just throw in some really strong cards, and then when they get the cards, they're gonna do well. That's gonna increase their win rate, so it's fine. All right, for Shaman, I'm pretty unhappy with them removing Windspeaker. The rest I can kind of get behind. Totemic Might, Ancestral Healing, the Double Vitality Tome. These are all cards we don't really want to. Windspeaker's solid. It's just a nice card. It's a nice techie card that you can throw in there. You can trade into a minion, Windspeaker, trade into another minion. You can use Windspeaker for lethal, etc., etc. So there are many nice aspects of Windspeaker. For the rest, I'm pretty happy with what they're removing here. Shaman right now is not, like, even though it's frustrating when the Shaman curves out perfectly and throws down the 7/7s and then fire rallies and stuff, it's still not a top class Shaman just because of the nature of the RNG. So this may be enough to give them more 7/7s and stuff to make it a top class. I don't know. I'll have to find out. Warlock. Oop. Anima Golem, Sack Pact, Curse of Rafam, Sense Demons, Void Crusher, Reliquary Seeker, and Succubus. I don't think Succubus should be on the list, just because it's a fairly playable 2-drop. It's not good, but it's fairly playable. I'll put it like this: Succubus doesn't deserve to be on the list with the other cards, right? She's a little bit better than all the rest on this list. Void Crusher, I could be okay with them keeping that, just because there's like Void Caller synergy, and it's quite a lot more like a meme card where you can use it, kill their Ironbark. I don't think it should have been on the list. I'm not unhappy about it being on the list, right? So Succubus and Void Crusher are like a little bit like maybe they could have done something else. The rest I'm pretty okay with. Druid, pretty interested. So, wow, really? Mark of Nature? Soul of the Forest, Poison Seeds. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. They have their place, these cards, right? Sure, you won't draft them every time, but they have their place. I feel like with everything Blizzard does, they're protecting the newer player who won't be able to use these cards properly and will pick them more often than they should. Like Astral Communion, sure. Tree of Life, sure. As long as you can still discover Tree of Life, that's a very important one. As long as you can still discover Tree of Life, I'm happy. If they remove it from discover options, that's pretty sad, but I don't think they'll do that, right? Anyways, Savagery, sure. Tree of Life, sure. Astral Communion. The other 3 cards I completely don't agree with. I've just recently used Poison Seeds in a run with Hafu, and it was totally fine. It was like, it had some really nice board states, but it was hard to use. So like I said, I think that their reasoning here is removing the card because the less experienced player will use these cards or draft them a little bit too much, and then artificially tank their win rate. So it's kind of protecting the newer player from themselves and saying, look, we see Poison Seeds, Soul of the Forest, It's a cool card if it works, but it's not going to work very often, so you probably shouldn't draft it. But I feel like you should still have the option to, right? The experienced drafter will like these cards from time to time. Okie dokie. Mark of Nature, I think is just silly. I think the card's playable. Yeah. So, see. Once again, guys, I preface this with the because this sounds like I'm just giving Blizzard a hard time. This is just me being critical, right? But I said at the start that I think I'm very happy that they're doing changes at all, and I'm sure they'll learn from doing patches, right? And they'll get better and better at it. So overall, I don't think we should give them a hard time, right? Just giving you my my take on things. Warzone Commander, sure. I think they probably should have done this the moment they nerfed her, because she was like so good and now she's dead. It's really sad. They could have easily just made her a 2-mana card or something, right? So, whatever. Bolster, sure. Charge, yeah, a little bit more. Yeah, I think I'm okay with the charge being. Bouncing Blade, I'm not. I don't agree with. I think Bouncing Blade is one of those cards that you can use to delete one big minion. But I think once again, right? I think Bouncing Blades gets drafted by people and gets used as AoE, which it shouldn't, right? Bouncing Blade is a one single target removal usually. Like your opponent plays a Bog Reaper, you play Bouncing Blades, it bounces 8 times, the Bog Reaper's dead. That's a pretty good use of Bouncing Blades. Whereas I think a lot of people draft Bouncing Blade and they go like, all right, he has a board full of things, go, and then it kills a 1/1 and it's like, oh, it didn't do anything, right? So this probably has a really, I think they nerfed cards in terms of win rate as well. So, and once again, you know, there are far more inexperienced players than very experienced players. That's just how the curve works, right? Or, you know, if we would use an average win rate as an indicator, there are many more people, you know, on 1 to 3 win average than there are on 6+ win average, right? So the Bouncing Blade, I feel, is a card that gets used properly by the good players and not good by the inexperienced players. Axe Flinger, I don't think he had to go. He had his place in aggressive decks. Back in Goblins versus Gnomes, no, when BRM got released, right? I think this is a BRM card. Like I know I played this card in aggro Warrior, and it was pretty good there. So I don't think they should remove that either. Rampage, once again, right? A card with some use. I can kind of see it though, right? So what they're trying to do with this is they're removing these cards just to make it sure you get, you know, more ghouls, more what's it called again? More Nazot's first mate. So overall, I'm not too unhappy. I think Rampage and Axe Flinger can go. I just don't think the Bouncing Blade had to go because it's an epic anyway, right? Ogre Warmaul, I kind of mind it. Yeah, I think Ogre Warmaul once again has its place. I think it's a card that is better than it seems. I think it's totally fine. I think Ogre Warmaul is once again a card you do a little bit better with the more experienced you are. You know when to play it, you know when to draft it. Whereas other people might just draft it, get unlucky, and be like, yeah. All right, here's the biggest one. This is probably #1 on my list of things I'm unhappy with. Removing Cobra Shot. That makes 0 sense. That makes absolutely 0 sense. And I know where it's coming from once again, right? It's coming from the card has a low win rate, people drafted in the wrong decks, they don't do well, but Hunter just does well with instant damage. Removing any instant damage from Hunter is ridiculous, right? It's just like, that is what Hunter needs. Hunter needs reach. And Cobra Shot is a really good reach card in the late game. So, and I keep having to defend this card, right? And especially in LoE, when Burn Hunter was at its prime, Cobra Shot is like the MVP in Burn Hunter. So it's a card that everybody hates because it costs 5 mana for 3 damage. And that's the meme, right? Oh, 5 mana Frostbolt, so bad. But it's one card. Like if you draft a low curve deck, you're going to run out of cards to play anyway, and you're going to float mana. So having a card that both removes the board and deals damage is really good for a number of Hunter decks. The low curve Hunter decks enjoy having a Cobra Shot. It's really good. So that's the number one that I'm really unhappy with in the arena. I mean, they've already removed Leper Gnome pretty much, right? And then they've removed Arcane Golem, so it's like they make it harder and harder for Hunter to do anything. Anyways, lock and load gone. Sure, more chance for an ego for Gladiator's Longbow and stuff. Call Pet, Starving Buzzard. I'm okay with these things. Timberwolf. I mean, sure, they have their place, but more chance for good Hunter cards. Totally fine with that. Dart Trap, I'm kind of okay with. Snipe, I'm not. I don't think you should remove Snipe. Snipe once again has its place. If you have your Mad Scientist, Snipe is sick. The fact that Snipe no longer can get offered means people won't play around Snipe either. Not that they were doing now anyways, but just in general, for a good player, it's going to be a lot easier because Snipe or Dart Trap is no longer going to be in your decision making. So removing any secrets from a class is already kind of a passive nerf because people no longer have to play around those secrets. Dart Trap I'm okay with, like who the fuck plays around Dart Trap, right? But Snipe's actually quite significant, so I don't agree with Snipe whatsoever. And then for the Priest, who cares about Priest? No, I'm just kidding. All right, let's go. Mind Blast, Shadow Bomber, Lightwell, Powered Glory, Confuse, Convert, Inner Fire. I can't say that I mind any of these too much. I think the one I'm going to miss most is Mind Blast because it's just fun if you're going for an aggressive Priest deck. So whoever requested the Face Priest, well, I still know it was just Guy and Gray. You guys did it right on time because aggro Priest is not going to be a thing anymore. But I think that these removals are, or the removing of these cards is helpful. I think these are all like awkward cards, and Priest does not need awkward cards right now. Priest needs solid cards, Valence Chosen, Dark Cultist, Temple Enforcer. We need more chance to get these cards. And Mind Blast, oh, is Mind Blast not from the classic set? Same for Lightwell? Same for Timber. Oh, I thought they weren't touching the classic set. Actually, guys, I've been reviewing cards the entire time. They've removed a lot of classic cards, right? Dust Devil as well. Oh man, if they're touching classic cards, I think you can do a lot better in the Mage department than Blizzard. If you're willing to touch classic cards, you can do a lot better in the Mage department, Blizzard. Oh man. All right, anyways, sorry guys. I've been on autopilot talking about the cards, thinking they don't touch classic. Windspeaker's classic? I don't think Windspeaker's classic, no. All right, anyways, guys, anyways. Let me see. They only said they wouldn't remove cards that are signature to the class. Timberwolf's pretty signature to Hunter, right? Timberwolf Unleash, those kind of things. I don't know. It's pretty weird. So I think that the TLDR, right, what we can take away from this is that it's a very good start. And I truly hope that they are willing to work together with the arena community on this. I know that it has to be taken with a grain of salt, everything we say, because you're not balancing the arena for the 1% or the less than 1%, right? You're balancing the arena for every player, which means that the removal of things like Poison Seeds and Soul of the Forest, I can get behind it. Even though it's completely unnecessary for good players, it's good to protect the starting players, that they don't pick Poison Seeds and Soul of the Forest when it's not good. So I can see where they're coming from, but it would be cool to work together with Blizzard on these kind of things and just give them our take on things, and then they can still like scale it down however much they want it, right? But if you if you would work together with say Hafu and Ratsma and Advokta, Merps, myself on the changes, I think you get something really cool because we're willing to go like, all right, we know Mage has to remain strong. Mage is your like gateway class, but just to tone it down a little bit, right? Just to not make it like right now, if you don't get offered a Mage, it's rough. You're by default in a tough position because you didn't get offered Mage. That's nasty. All right. Anyways, guys, let me close this. Not even sure if he's coming back right now, so I might need to just get someone else. Let me open this up first. Shady, how would you feel about Water Alley being removed instead of Chugger? I mean, that's great. Water Elemental is another one of those cards that does exactly what you don't want from Mage. I think you can't give Mage really good minions, right? I mean, they're gonna keep it just because it's better, right? And they need Mage to be strong. They need Mage to be strong because it's their gateway class. It's the class people learn the game on, and you want that class to be strong because you don't want your new players to join the arena and get destroyed over and over again. You want them to at least have the chance of getting a Mage and doing well.
Hello.
Hey, welcome back, man.
Yeah, sorry about the interruption.
It's fine. Let's get it over with.
Yep. 8-2.
Yep. Let's go. All right. Anyways, to continue my explanation there, guys. What you don't want is to create a scenario where cards have no downside. That's pretty risky, right? And Water Elemental has no downside. Water Elemental absolutely doesn't have any downside. It's just like, even in the late game, you throw it into a 6/6, it still freezes the thing. It's too good, right? So, I don't know, just make Water Elemental a 3/5. A lot of problems already solved. You don't have to remove it, just make it a 3/5, right? All right, anyways, on to the game.